So, welcome back to Faith from Friday. For the second case for this week, we are going back to Indiana. This case we're going to Gary, Indiana. This case is not as another case you imagine is not as well known. It is another child death case, so just a heads up on that. I would have thought that it would have been more well known considering like how long it was before it was discovered that our victim was deceased. As you get the title, probably the thumbnail probably even gives it away. But basically, what happened to this boy, he obviously did not deserve. I'm going to go into detail on what is publicly known about this case. And so, with that being said, I'm quitting my rambling, and let's go get started. So, on August 27th, 1995, there was a woman by the name of Kimberly. She apparently had a report on her that her house was, like, unsanitary and, like, not fit for kids. And apparently, this claim would later be declared unfounded. And then, exactly 3 months later, we have a boy named Christian is born. So, Christian Milton Choate, which I think that's how you say it, but we're going to refer to him as Christian because that was his name. That's the day he was born. So Christian was born to basically to a man named Riley, and then his mom's name is Amy. So then Riley was born May 3rd, 1972. In 1998, he gets arrested for like auto theft and is sentenced to like 2 years. At some point, it doesn't say exactly like when, but apparently he starts dating like this woman by the name of Kimberly, the one that I mentioned earlier, and then she was born July 24th, 1965. So Kimberly will essentially become Christian's stepmother. On August 10th, 2004, there were claims that Riley was abused, apparently of beating Christian. It was later came out to be like unfounded. At least they said it was unfounded. And then it later came out that Riley was actually beating on Kim's nieces. However, it was also found that apparently two of the children, because there's like many children living in this little trailer that they were living in, apparently had severe tooth decay. And those two kids would go live in foster care like 4 days later. They are apparently returned to them in December of that same year, and the case is dismissed apparently exactly a year later. So then on September 1st, 2004, Christian and his sisters apparently made claims that their mother's boyfriend, because again, Riley and Amy, the ones that had made Christian together, they're separated. So their mother's boyfriend apparently had touched them. Those claims come back to be unfounded again, apparently. So in February 2005, another report was made where it says like Christian was violated, but it was said to have been like also unfounded. So then September is still the same year, so also still 2005. Christian would apparently go over to Riley and Kim. So it doesn't say when, but we're fast forwarding to 2007. Apparently, Kim has a sister named Jessica, and apparently she makes a claim about possible medical abuse for Christian. As you can imagine, is seen to be unfounded. So there's obviously a pattern here, as you can tell. On June 30th and July 8th, there will be a report of 10 kids living in the trailer home. So obviously like 10 kids plus these two adults. Kim apparently had a warrant out for her arrest. Apparently there was a 12-year-old. I would have believed that was Christian, but I didn't name him. Maybe because he was a minor, I don't know. That apparently was on house arrest for molestation. And then apparently June 30th was also the last confirmed sighting of Christian or any contact that anybody outside of anybody living in this trailer had seen of him. So when Christian's like 11, Kim and Riley apparently go buy like a 3-foot dog cage that they apparently bought from a neighbor for like $15. And then, of course, as you can imagine, they put Christian inside the cage. He has a sister named Christina. So basically, I guess like that's the female version of Christian would be Christina. And apparently she would be made to take care of him, so she didn't get punished. She would have to give him baths, like, I imagine, like, it said ice water. So basically, like, some really cold-ass water. And for, like, his bruises, because he was getting abused. But apparently that made the pain even worse for him. Anytime he tried to escape, as you can imagine, they're putting even more locks on this cage. And as you can imagine, he even told his pediatrician, because he was reaching out for help, because I imagine he knew this was not okay. And after he told his pediatrician, he was taken out of school. And of course, they did the classic, we're going to homeschool this kid. So as you can imagine, this would have like an emotional effect on Christian, and apparently he was crying, and his hands at one point were like, they were chained to the top of the cage, and for whatever ass reason, Kim, big ass, decided she's going to spray paint this boy's hands black. So, as you can imagine, he's getting left in this cage like all day except exercise, and I can imagine whenever there's company over, because obviously you see a whole ass child in the cage, that's even if they had company, but I feel like if they did, obviously he's not going to be in the cage then. Apparently he was only fed ramen noodles and beaten pretty much every day, if not almost every day. And then it obviously got to the point to where he was using the bathroom on himself because the beatings were just that bad, and he couldn't even like properly walk or stand up. And then another punishment that they used, apparently not as often, but they still used it, so I'm mentioning it. Apparently they would chain his hands and feet to a bedstand, and this also would make it make him numb and apparently very difficult to stay. So then, of course, it eventually gets to the point where he's denied food altogether, so not even ramen noodles, he's not getting shit. The other kids, you can imagine, they're very sympathetic, so they're trying to, like, feed him. They would get punished if they tried to feed him, and they were also told that if they ever tried to tell anybody about what we're doing to Christian, the same thing, if not worse, is going to happen to you. And obviously, these are kids. These are grown-ass. These are kids they're telling us to. Obviously, the kids are going to listen, sadly. So, as you can imagine, with multiple kids, they're going to have energy. They're going to go play. So, the other kids are allowed to go play. Christian, apparently, while they were playing, will be made to write. And so, apparently, in one of his entries that the police later found, it would say something like that he wanted to die because, like, nobody seemed to love him. Because that's what he felt like. Nobody in this world generally loved him. And he was wondering when his next meal was going to come in. Because, like I said, at this point, he's getting starved. So, it gets to the point to where Christian wants to have to wear diapers. They're apparently meant for, like, 4-year-olds. And keep in mind, he's, like, 11, 12. But apparently he's, like, that skinny to where he can fit in a diaper for a 4-year-old. So, they're starving him pretty bad. Sometime in April 2009, we don't have an exact date. Apparently his sister Christina is feeding him. And he's hallucinating. So, obviously, he's not eating. So, then he gets beaten. And he's apparently not in the cage when he's getting fed. He gets beaten repeatedly, I imagine by Riley and or Kim. And then gets put back in the cage. And it's believed that he died that night. So as you can imagine, now that Christian's dead, they normally then report these cases to the police. And then try to pass it off as like maybe he just did it to himself. Maybe I don't know what happened. Yada yada. Well, in this case, they actually wrapped Christian's body up in black plastic trash bags. Riley, Kim, and Christina, the sister, they all drive out to a wooden area. They apparently put a Bible over his chest. They pour cement over his body and then bury him in a shallow grave. And this is all with the help of Christina. And then apparently the three of them go to Kentucky. As you can imagine, apparently there were people that did notice that Christian was gone, which is good for them. They obviously asked like, "Where the hell is Christian at?" And they would just say, and Riley and Kim would just say, "Oh, he ran away." Never filed an Amber Alert. I guess not an Amber Alert. A missing persons report. But just said that he ran away, if anybody asked. In 2009, Christina would finally tell her mother, Amy, that Christian actually had been dead, and apparently was dead for the past 2 years. Sorry, she did this in 2011. And then Riley would finally show the police Christian's body on May 4th of that year. Christina tells police that apparently Christian had violated another kid in the house. We don't know if that's actually true or not. I highly doubt that it is. But obviously a report was never made, so who's to say that not that actually happened. The cemetery where Christian would get buried at eventually, they paid for his cemetery and his gravesite because obviously that's expensive, and apparently the mother didn't have the expenses, and obviously can't ask the dad because he's technically involved in the child's death in the first place. So they stepped up and paid for it themselves, which, you know, that's nice. And then apparently in 2013 there was a woman named Patricia who apparently paid for his headstone because I guess she felt Christian deserved to have a headstone. He does, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, that was nice of her. So in 2012, Riley rejects a plea deal of 86 years. So it will be 50 years for battery, 30 years because you've had 2 prior felony convictions. So I guess like Indiana was one of those 3 strikes or you're out kind of states. Who knows? And I guess murder is obviously a felony, so yeah. And then 6 years for like 2 Class D felony charges. So then I guess he thought he was going to, testify against Kim, get off light. He wants to get 80 years. So he got less time than he would had he took the plea deal. But he ain't getting out until he's dead. Good for that. And then Kimberly's ugly ass, she was sentenced to 35 years. So she could still get out while she's alive. She'll just be old. And so yeah, that is the case of Christian Choate. If anybody has any similar cases you want me to talk about where the child kind of disappeared for a bit before anybody found out they were deceased, definitely let me know, because that definitely shocked me at least a little bit. I know some of you probably wondering where was the mother Amy and all this. I honestly have no idea. She's even still alive. If she wants to give her side of the story, I guess she definitely is more than welcome to. Or if anybody knows Amy, definitely let me know. Highly doubt I'll get an answer on this, but if anybody knew Christian or were any kids right now, because I imagine they went into foster care but didn't say. If anybody knew Kim or Riley, definitely let me know. If you're connected to the story in any way, whether you were like the judge, I guess not the judge, but like you were one of the cops in the case, or you're related to one, like definitely just let me know, because I want to hear definitely let me know, because I want to hear people's perspective. And so with that being said, I'm here for you guys 3 times every Friday. Subscribe for more Faith Females, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did, that you said? I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing, sitting there gaslighting and confusing. Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's